Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way. Chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one. Bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret eye, win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground. Off the pyramid of life, let the spirit get you high. 'Cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try. Chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one. Bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret eye, win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground. Off the pyramid of life, let the spirit get you high. 'Cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you. 'Cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground. Off the pyramid of life, let the spirit get you high. 'Cause you are the king, you are the queen. You will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way. Chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one. Bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret eye, win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky. Hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark. Get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground. Off the pyramid of life, let the spirit get you high. 'Cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't drown in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try. Chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one. Bring all your dreams to the glory.
Welcome, 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 rockers. I'm excited to be joined by my co-host, Chisco Gaming, to bring y'all another exciting Osiris League finals match. And we're moving into the Bastet realm. I know we haven't covered this realm too much this season, but we do have some phenomenal teams that are going to be playing this week in RAIZ and 06HS. I'm excited to see it. First week was really tight, really close. I'm expecting kind of the same. So welcome everybody to the stream, to the chat, and to my duo over here, Chisco Gaming. How's it going, my friend?
Hey man, how are you? I
Good.
mean, I'm still feeling the energy from that last Ark of Osiris match. The realm of Horus champion crowned. And now, do we get to crown another champion, or will it go to 3 matches? What do you think?
Oh man, it's lining up. It's lining up. You know me, more arc, more excitement. I would love to see at least one of these 2 matches, these 2 finals that we have left in Sobek and Bastet. At least one go to week 3, because it's nothing like a 1-1 and just one match to decide everything. And it just raises the excitement and the hype for it. So I'm excited for it. I think this has potential to be probably the closest match of the week between these 2 teams. Like we were saying, 06HS took week 1, but it was by 5K points. So, that's an arc swing and a couple of provisions. It could be insane. So we are going to flip over to the casting booth. That way we can check out some of the action that's already happened leading up. We still got about 8 minutes left, and we'll get some final thoughts on how the Osiris League, you've been enjoying it, I've been enjoying it, all that kind of stuff, and then we'll get into the match. Okay, so we're showing the Bastet realm, as you've already can see, and I need to be able to click on this guy in order to show you all the scores and the powers, and there it goes. Had to magically click everywhere. So RAIZ, we already see on one side 3.3 billion, 06HS 3.6. So they are fairly close in power, but at this point, I don't think we're necessarily worried about power. And yeah, the previous realms, we had Horus coming in, which is the match we just finished casting between JST and 1V. How did you think that match? Were you impressed by it? Were you excited, surprised? What was your feelings on that one, Chisco?
I think that match went largely as you might have expected based on what had happened last week. I don't think we saw a ton. I mean, if there was a ton of adjustment, I didn't notice what those things were. So I'm sure that both teams made some moves to improve their strategy, but it's like I was saying, it's like really tough, like at the end of a season with only 1 week, to change massively how mid fights go.
Well, we got an answer to our question that we were asking last cast about if they actually are going to play the 3rd match or not. When I reloaded the game, now that 3rd slot is no longer there. So
true.
That answers our question. So the champion's been crowned. The next time we'll see 1V will be in the I believe it's called the Invitational this season. I'm not sure if the name has changed, where all the champions will meet up. And we're going to see some battles. We have crowned the other champion as well in Anubis between 60GT and 60MX. That match happened at 3 UTC, and 60GT taking it pretty handily by 20K points. So they are our Anubis champions. And last but not least, we'll move into the Sobek, where we'll have 5060A taking on 61HX. We casted this one last week. I did with Drago, and it was very exciting. It's a little nostalgic coming up, watching the Richards come out and the just some old Saladin Marches and CCs and Sun Tzus. So I'm excited to see who's going to get crowned champion. I think there's potential for an upset there as well, but you never know. But moving back in to the Bastet realm, just what are the kinds of things, all the commanders are available, all that kind of stuff. Do you see RAIZ being able to push this to a game 3?
So the thing that I noticed as I was looking through, glancing down at the scoreboard through the start of this, is that RAIZ has a lot of really close matches leading up to this moment. All of their playoff matches up to this point were, I mean, closer than the opposing team. So I don't know. I think the advantage of having gone through a lot of really tough matches is that it levels you up a lot. Like you actually get a lot better as a team when you go through really, really close matches like that and make a bunch of improvements. So what would I expect to see? You know, if these teams have been watching what's been happening in the other realms, I think we should expect to see rallies on every structure at the start. I think we can even come to expect potentially just a 2-arc game. That seems to be the way to run it.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the opponents, RAIZ kind of went through the gauntlet, and that's
They
what's
sure
exciting.
did.
RD2K regarded is definitely a top 4 team for sure. Took them literally to the last seconds, and they had a player from RAIZ poured into their obelisk, the enemy obelisk, and just wreak havoc all match. And yet that match was super tight. XB70, Old Faithful in 2070 coming back for return venture and doing really, really well. And then on the side of 06HS, truly probably one of the bigger upsets. I would say probably the second biggest upset this league outside of the Sobek, the huge eye for talent champion in that realm. And then the second one was 94VN getting knocked out by 06HS. So, there's a lot of really great matches that led up to this, but I definitely like what you were saying about RAIZ having to kind of go through the meat grinder to get through to the finals, and that kind of prepares them. They learned a little bit from their opponent. I'm suspecting that they'll do some, as you do between each match, make a little bit of adjustment, and we're gonna find out if we're gonna be crowning the last 2 champions or we're gonna be pushing a couple to the 3rd week. So I'm excited to be casting with you, my friend. And yeah, we got a couple minutes left. Make sure, if y'all haven't already, rockers, make sure to post your prediction for the poll, and we'll be closing that out here in about a minute and a half once this match is getting ready to fire up. Any final thoughts just leading in for the final minute and a half of something that you'd like to see, or just your overall thoughts on the Osiris League this season?
Yeah, so I will say that I have battled in KVK against 94VN. And I know that they're very organized. And I mentioned that because 06HS had to beat them to make it to the finals. And then they won their first finals match. So I think that there's a lot of signals there that this team is really strong. But against RAIZ, I mean, a 5,000 point win, this could go either way. 100% this could go either way for this matchup. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think this is going to be closer than the match we cast earlier today, actually.
Nice. Yeah, with 30 seconds leading in, guys, I'm excited. I think that there's huge potential here for sure. You got RAIZ, has a lot of history in Osiris League, starting off initially in the Horus realm, and have been kind of making a name for themselves every single season. So I'm excited to see them in the finals, see what they bring to this final match, or potentially this final match, with an attempt for them to push it to a game 3 for next weekend. So we got 10 seconds in, and we will load into the match. Let me end this poll real quick and see how we're looking. And poll. All right, 1 second. Let me back out real quick and hop back in. And let's see, best hit. All right, we're loading into the map. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for an absolute treat between RAIZ and 06HS. Let's look at some of these points and combatants. Lots of no names. Oh, secret meta.
Wow. That is the secret meta. Target. Oh, wait a minute. Who are we targeting?
Yeah, how do you call him out? Yeah, target that guy. Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I got kind of mixed feelings about doing stuff like that. Like, it's in the game, so you can do it, but also, I don't know. I guess you get whatever edge you can get, yeah?
Hey, we got look at the provisioner, 9K provisions. Oof. Occupation, kill score 209. Both of those top players being in the 200K mark. Road to the championship, as we were talking about earlier, some really tough matches, even for both of these teams coming in to the round number 2 of the finals.
Is this the part where I say a governor has no name? Make a little Game of Thrones reference there.
Oh man, I love it. Oh man, tragic last season, but still love nonetheless. All right, minute and a half. We're loading in. I'm gonna be interested to see. We've been seeing some unique usage for commanders, so I'm excited to see if we're gonna see some Hondas. What we're gonna see, because the 1v JST was a treat and very unique in the commander compositions and all that kind of stuff. So, do you think we're gonna see any sort of commander? Some weird commander combos coming out from either side?
I don't know what to expect. I mean, I don't think we'll see anything more crazy or potentially innovative than what we saw in the realm of Horus. And that's not to say that the players here aren't even potentially more innovative. It's just older accounts have more options because they've been playing for longer. So unless a majority of these folks migrated back, right? Like, I would think it will be hard to beat the commander depth of those accounts in the realm of Horus,
And as we see a little gamesmanship already, looking into the RAIZ zone right now, and the callouts are going to be real tough today.
That's a lot of nameless governors that we're looking at there. It took me a second to be like, oh, yes, I see what you're looking at now, or what you're not looking at, which is names of players.
Mm-hmm. We're going to be calling out, profile pictures at this point. But now the gates have opened. We're starting off on the RAIZ side to see kind of what marches we're looking forward to. Seeing a lot of CCs, a lot of Minas, Ethels, a lot of our traditional breakoffs after the museum commanders got buffed. There's Honda primaries already that we're seeing. Zenobia's everywhere. I'm not seeing a lot of Nevskis, a lot of XYs. So it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what they're going to be utilizing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, my takeaway from previous matches is that Honda is the new hotness for sure.
Yeah, the new maxing Honda video coming soon, boys.
Yeah, Honda is looking like a Porsche. Actually, that's what we're looking at here. I mean, the fact that the commander can be paired with archers or infantry or cavalry, and all of those were used in the prior match that we were casting, that to me is just mind blowing. By the way, hard push activated there for HS. So did you see if hard push was activated for the opposing side as well?
I did not. I only saw it.
I didn't see it either.
One side. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if it wasn't activated for RAIZ, that means that they not only have a name advantage, but they also potentially have a point advantage going into the mid brawl.
Oh Lord.
Do you think that these teams are calling out specific players to focus down in mid fights?
I think there's always potential for that. I know we've seen that in previous seasons, especially with our fellow content creator John Wick, where when he became synonymous with the guy who would always run, sneak the arc, run the arc, and then you had to do a little gamesmanship where people would change to Wick 1, Wick 2, so that when you're in mid, you don't get focused down first, because they understand that you're the guy running. But March compositions, I think, are going to be crucial in this one. We're seeing a difference between both sides. One side utilizing more of the CCs and the Minas that we've been seeing with the museum buffs. And then on the other side, we're seeing kind of the complete opposite that we were seeing with 1V and JST, where they're just coming with full XYs and Nevskis and just hoping to brawl. And that's what makes this very interesting. They're exchanging speed for DPS, and this is going to be very interesting with 150 seconds before the shrines and altars open up.
Yeah, So what's the over under on which side is going to get more structures?
To be honest, I honestly think I always like to side on the side of DPS more than speed, because I feel like unless the structures were unlocked right off the rip, getting there fast isn't necessarily the best unless you're Garrison. You can sneak it in and get a Jadwiga, and then you have a ton of cav to kind of reinforce. I feel like the DPS will eventually clear them all out faster than you can march across the field. So it is interesting. I would love to hear your take on it. Do you prefer, after going through the Osiris League this season, did you find that it was more beneficial having more speed off the rip or having a little bit more DPS?
More punch.
More
That would
punch.
be my preference. But you can't be late, right? So like more punch, but as long as you arrive on time for the fight. That's really the key.
Nothing like getting caught out with with some slow marches coming in.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
What? Okay. The double C, the nameless double C, making a little bit of a sacrifice down at the desert altar. Oh my. Double C William. Interesting. Designed to be fast, huh?
And now the fightings are taking place. We got 1 minute before altars and shrines, and we're gonna see if these CCs and Minas hold up. It's a rough life out there against a bunch of Guans and XYs and Nevskis. So we'll see. But they are pouring the troops on the bottom side, and the fights are raging on.
Yeah, I think Minamoto has a lot of viability right now. I think my only sadness about the glory that is the Minamoto relic is that I didn't really get to use it as much. Because at this point, I've got a bunch of other commander options. But I think teams are very smartly keying into how good a relic Minamoto is here. And we're seeing, there's a lot of Minamoto all over the field.
Yeah, it's almost the reverse. So I'm looking at 06HS. They're pushing up top side, but they are slowly, steadily getting cleared out. And 7 seconds before the altars and shrines open up, and we're going to see if we're going to get a couple snubs on these structures. I know with the 1v match, we saw a double occupation steal off the rip on the side of 1v. So they do become very, very critical. I'm seeing it light up red. And there you go, just like that. They're in this altar. So we're going to stick here. Is this a Nevsky? Nope, it's an Ethel Garrison with 1:45 left before first occupation gets stolen. But 06 has the presence right here, but you are going to start seeing cities poured in for the side of RAIZ. So this could get dicey pretty quick, but we'll see if they sneak the occupation.
So Chad has confirmed this, and also I observed it, that it does look like RAIZ also used hard push, because the capture timer is fast enough that would make sense.
Gotcha.
So I think both teams are on an even number of points here. It's very interesting to see the sort of very narrow focus of ability points used in Ark of Osiris. I think that the developers after this season, if I were looking at how this went, would be looking to tweak how effective they are to see a little more variety,
Yeah.
So for example, maybe sneaky tactics isn't strong enough.
Ooh.
Nobody used it at the high end to make it viable. Maybe they buff a few things.
Hide your troops for 6 minutes. Be flying
okay. I said a little buff. I'm not trying to make Thanos' gauntlet over here. Okay.
Okay. It was a very interesting play that we just saw right there, guys, with the Jadwiga staying there and all the marches just left. That was a huge risk because right now they haven't snuck out first occupation, and they left all their marches. You'll see them sad facing. They killed themselves on the cities in order to start rotating in towards mid. But you really, really want to secure that first occupation with 10 seconds left. It looks like Jadwiga will hold on for them to snub this desert altar. And once again, it comes down to the DPS killing off all these CCs and Minas off the rip. And there you go, sneaking out the first occupation for this topside desert altar. And with 5 minutes coming, we should start to see some rotations. Here comes RAIZ. We're seeing the blue lines coming in. Smart plays being done on this side as well. If you are going to be AFK for 5 minutes, you might as well park yourself in a node and get some points, some easy points for your team.
Yeah, I actually really respect the decision to smash the troops against the city. I think that's a commitment to the plan. And the plan, as you were describing, is to get to mid on time. So I think that's actually really impressive when a team knows what their plan needs to be and then executes against it, even though it's so tempting to do literally anything else than like just suicide your marches on a city, right?
Yeah.
It,
Nothing like
it's
no-
just like straight lose your troops, but get home faster. And that's what they needed to do, and so that's what they did. The structure game is even-ish. Wait a minute. Hold the phone. RAIZ is all over these outposts. Do you see this?
Yeah.
All the outposts held by RAIZ.
It's
Actually, every outpost.
It's so blue right now, and they're swarming every single structure with rallies. I'm looking at the Shrine of Life on the bottom side. I did notice that. It was very interesting. Look, coming from Horus to Bastet, the non-emphasis as we see it right now on the shrines leading into mid-fight. So it is very interesting. Shrines of War not getting focused. Shrines of Life are going to be the focus on this side, and it looks like RAIZ are going to pull the Shrine of Life from O6HS, and the map is completely blue for the most part, and they keep tossing those outposts back. Points per minute. Go ahead.
I love this for blue. I love this for RAIZ. This is where you want to be for the first arc. This is the way. Oh my.
And here come all the lines coming from the starting zone for RAIZ. I was a little worried about their mid-game ball just because it looked a little small, but we got 06 starting to push forward to take the map, the field pressure to RAIZ. So it's going to be very interesting. I can imagine how confused all these players are going to be making call-outs for mid-game.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't want to have to make those calls, but also I do sort of wonder. Like, are they calling people out? I don't know. It's just too much chaos to be calling out names in a mid-brawl fight.
That's true.
And you don't want, like, the whole team to focus the same march. I don't know. But what I do know is that I love this 06HS position on the temple. I mean, if you're going to lose all your structures, you better dominate the arc. So it seems like they're in a position to do exactly that.
And they're pushing them back. They moved their ball forward, pushed RAIZ back a little bit. We got 2 minutes before the arc. So if you're RAIZ at some point,
oh my God,
something's going to have to happen. And we are seeing consistent outpost rallies. There's an XY going to an outpost.
This is a really exciting match, man.
They popped a skill. There must have been an accidental skill pop right there, because there's no reason they would have pulled that far back.
You know, the skill lasts for like a cool 3 minutes, so I think it's okay. It's actually, of all the skills to use early, I think Mystical is one of the ones where it's perfectly fine. I would even say Teams err on the side of being a little bit late, potentially, for using it. Because, like, you miss the first 10 seconds of the fight. You actually miss something impactful there for having that buff.
Yeah, and right now, the fight for middle is going on with 1 minute left before the arc's going to spawn. We should see them attempting a CC or somebody coming in from the backside to get ready to run this arc. And it looks like 06 are taking it to RAIZ in the middle, attempting to clear them out before. But RAIZ are focusing on structures. 3 of the 4 altars are in their favor. Points per minute, 630 to 330. That was originally 180. So, you got a double points per minute lead on the outside. So RAIZ aren't necessarily investing everything into this first arc, but look at all the structures blinking on the outside now. It's going to get really interesting very quick. So 30 seconds left and the arc's going to spawn.
I don't know how you get this arc if you're RAIZ. Like, you can't just walk to that temple. All your marches will get eaten up if you walk to the temple. And you don't have enough time to win the fight and then get to the temple either.
Ooh, look at the play right here that we have on screen. They're at the obelisk right now. 30 seconds with Jadwiga before they can port in.
Oh, that is powerful. Do you think they'll actually port?
They did this with 2K. Oh, no, they're not getting in. They did this against RD2K, where they had a 200 million power whale just come in, and it was just, from then on, it was just,
wow. Okay.
With 5 seconds left.
06HS hanging on to that obelisk by a thread. That was a lot of troops to commit to that activity. I I don't know, man. I guess if you pull it off, that's a huge win. It was almost certainly, and now I revise my statement. It was almost certainly a gamble worth running, but didn't work out. Oh, they're
Yeah,
doing it to both sides. Wow. But there's a Xeno over there, so that might be a little more tricky.
mm-hmm. And these troops are all red too. So, and that's, it doesn't look like she's going anywhere. So they did a double obelisk swarm, which is where all their troops were instead of the mid game. That's a strong play right there. Let's see where the arc runner is at. He is still in mid. There's a couple of leftover blue marches to clear out, but you're seeing 06 now refocusing back on structures.
Yeah. 06 is peeling off really early here. I don't know. That's early. Like, that's not cleaned up enough for my liking.
It does make me a little bit nervous. I think you'll see a couple that will probably pull back.
I'm nervous.
Here it comes. Yeah, they're pulling back from the top side, rotating back. But if you're RAIZ and you can stall this a little bit, you might be able to pull some marches back mid and catch them off guard. So
100%. RAIZ is even moving it the wrong way. I mean, I don't know, man. I think that it's probably safe. It just feels like a smidge riskier than I'd like, but you know what? It's all under control. Maybe I'm just being nervous.
Xenos, we're flipping around the structures now, just checking to see if we're going to find any, sneaky plays out here. I definitely think those outposts are going to be a critical points per minute because RAIZ right now, because of occupation, they're in the points lead. Double points per minute has been consistent thing with RAIZ. They're up by about 1,000, and the arc might swing in favor of 06, but this could force their hand to have to actually capture this just to maintain the lead. Both of these teams looking really, really good in mid game. So it's going to come down probably to the wire to decide who's going to end up taking this match for sure.
I mean, I love the play made by RAIZ here, frankly. Skipping the first arc and scoring a lot of points. I will say they started this match with a deficit, right? Am I remembering correctly?
Correct. They lost the altar.
Yeah. And so now, I mean, they have a little bit of a lead, although they don't get the arc, and now the structures are even. So, the building game is hard to pull off. Like you got to hold on to those buildings for so long to end up trading positive from that equation, I don't know if they got enough structure time. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, not getting that first occupation definitely hurt them. You know what I mean? It's this lead should have been about a 2,500 point lead already if they would have gotten that first occupation on the desert altar. So that's where those first occupations, we go over it over and over and over again about letting y'all know, how important it is just to solidify your break off, because it can either put you in a lead, it can keep you, within throwing distance if you do lose the first arc, or it can put you in a massive deficit. And it looks like 06 are just going to go straight for the capture. They're going to run up as many arcs as they possibly can. And I love matches like this just because the excitement is real. Necessarily, it's not always the most, best strategy because of rotation times and stuff like that. But it's going to make it way more exciting for us to cast for sure.
They could have canceled that rally on the Shrine of War and then had their troops take out the carrier.
That would have been tragic. And then they take the structure and cap it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they had enough to take the structure, but they could have, there was a moment of risk there, but there were some marches nearby that probably could have dealt with it. But, to some extent, that's the most optimal gameplay, is to have just barely enough. It just makes me a little uncomfortable,
Hey, that's a good thing, though. If you're doing all the safe things, you're probably, most of the teams that are here are trying different stuff that aren't the standard. And I think that's what makes them, you got a game strategy, you got a game for it. Seen Herald primaries. I know with our 1v match, all the rallies I kept seeing were Chandra primary and then Nevsky secondary. So they switched that up from the previous week as well, because we were seeing other combos the previous week. So it is interesting to see what we're doing. The Herald, look at the Zenobia getting absolutely melted in here by this Herald.
Chandra Nevsky's, I mean, it's a great rally, and it is noteworthy that that's what they were using, because they must think it's the best rally for sure. I mean, otherwise, if they thought it was, Burt, that they would use Burt.
Yeah, but it's very interesting seeing how every team is different. You'll see we saw Burt's the week before, then we saw it switch to Chandra, and we've seen Chandra before earlier in the season. But then with the new commanders, everybody switched over, and then we saw this where usually teams were running Pakal Herald, and now they flipped it to run Herald Pakal. So you're constantly seeing the meta kind of shift between infantry, cav. We haven't seen too many archers, but maybe with the new archers in the future, that might change for next season for sure.
Yeah, well, hopefully we see some new infantry commanders come to the game in a month or two, right? That'd be exciting. Give me an infantry commander as good as Nevsky. I mean,
Ooh, oh Lord.
I both want and do not want that, right? Like, oh my gosh, the power level is just going so high.
Dude, forget Osiris League KVK, man. We're all going to be crying, filling garrisons and rally. Oh, man, I can just imagine right now. But, we're looking at the structure game. It's still looking really, really strong for RAIZ. They are even, but a lot of structures just haven't ticked over yet for the map being as blue as it is. 2 altars, 5.5 minutes before the arc spawns. And once again, RAIZ is here early, but they are parked in the back. Just waiting for marches to join them. And we, here it comes. Shrines getting attacked on cue, getting swarmed down. So I'm excited for that. But this next arc is going to be pretty big. Usually most teams, it's between the second arc and third arc that you'll start seeing To the Death or Heaven's Grace. Do you think either one of these teams is going to use either one of those skills this coming rotation?
It's really hard to say. I mean, they're definitely going to run a 3+ arc game here. So if you're running a 3+ arc game, the calculus becomes a little bit different for when you use To the Death. To some extent, if you think you've got the better mid fight, you wait a second behind what the enemy is doing and just mirror what they do, and then hopefully you win every encounter. And if you use To the Death but the other team doesn't, then you run the risk of losing the next arc. So there's a weird balance here.
I think kind of the game within the game that we always chat about is going to be very interesting, because if RAIZ wins this next arc and you're doing as well as you're doing on occupation, who knows? They may hold it and just focus on occupation, because they've been absolutely doing wonders in occupation all match long. And if you're 06, I think you're just continuously trying to run arcs at this point. Keep building that lead. It is under a 2K lead, so you definitely want to build a little cushion to kind of mitigate that advantage that RAIZ is getting with their points per minute every single second.
Well, we've only got a 3-minute wait until the arc fight's going to start, or rather, till the arc spawns in. So it's going to get dicey up here, and we'll see really soon what the approach is for using skills. I mean, or they could just pop hard push and go buildings and be super sneaky.
Oof.
I mean, RAIZ could do it. I don't think they will, but they could.
We have Pakal rallies going in on the outpost. My
Pakal rallies, huh?
Oh man, this is very interesting on the side for RAIZ is sending them to the 06 outpost. It's very interesting.
Very interesting, right? Like, a Pakal rally is not the highest damage per second. So you give the enemy team just a lot of time to react to that. But I don't think they care. I think they're all just going mid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you taking the outpost? Fine. And I think it's a reasonable choice to make at this point.
Oh my goodness. Both teams are dumping their troops into the middle. 2.5 minutes. We're starting to see 06 progressing forward on the map. See, and this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm not a huge fan of when teams invest that early for them to give up map position, just because you literally invested to come in early for that specific one of that. Well, that's one of the biggest reasons, and we're gonna see if RAIZ is gonna start moving forward a little bit. There you go. Because map position on this is crucial, especially because if you're the guys having to push through the enemy, when your skills pop, all that kind of stuff, it changes a lot of stuff. And we got 2 minutes left, and then we're gonna find out exactly who's gonna be pulling this next arc for sure.
Yeah. Now we're entering the realm where I'm wondering why 06HS hasn't started the engagement. And I guess, well, yeah, if I zoom out, it's really hard to say here. I'm not sure who has more players. We'll find out in just a minute.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
HS
the
is getting into
skills.
position.
Mhm.
They're lining up for that arc fight. I don't know that we're gonna see it to the death. No, I think we're gonna see it. I think we're. Oh, there's Mystical. Okay, I take it back. You know, they may not have enough points for to the death. Actually.
Yeah, and that's
Oh, just kidding. RAIZ
yeah,
used to the death. But
GG.
they popped that so early. Look at all these marches that are gonna lose 10 seconds of time of to the death because they haven't. I mean, dude, I'll let you know when the last march that got that buff actually connects. It's just now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they wasted a lot of time on that buff. That was a little premature, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's definitely where it comes down, where skill usage becomes very, very important because, you know, maybe they could have. I don't know if they hit all the max marches that could utilize that skill as well. You know, and that's where you want to always ball up. And there comes 06 with to the death as well. RAIZ coming in with Mystical. And Sad Face is going from both sides, but I do like the idea of popping that a little bit later, especially if your marches are going to last. But I'm not a huge fan as well because they just popped to the death on a bunch of marches that were potentially yellow and red.
Yeah.
And, you know, that seems like a lot of skill point usage for potentially a lot of dead marches right there.
Yeah. I have a lot of mixed feelings about that. Arc's on the move here. That if I just look at what I see in front of my face, it's a lot of red numbers but blue marches.
Mm-hmm.
So they might get a grab on this arc, but I think this arc is looking like it's gonna go to RAIZ.
Yeah, they cleared them out. They cleared them out for sure. I'm looking for somebody to pick up this arc. Okay, I do see some indicators kind of in there. RAIZ picking it up. Now we're gonna find out truly what's going to happen with this arc, if they're going to hold it, if they're going to cap it, what's going to exactly happen, because as we see, as they grab this, you know, 06 are doing what they should be doing, and they are grabbing as many structures as they can to kind of help with that points. We got 45 seconds before this desert altar starts ticking over for 06 as well. And let me flip over to a couple of these structures as well. And no, RAIZ is still investing in the middle, which is very interesting. They don't need to start sending more troops. It's completely blue.
It is quite blue. This is an interesting evolution. 06HS does have 3 altars now, so and an extra Shrine of Life. They're now running the structure game pretty well. I mean, if you're losing an arc, to be running the structure game is where you want to be. But I think that neither team would really say that they were trying to lose an arc when they used to the death, you know?
Yeah, that was quite a bit of investment for sure. And that's, you know, that's where skills come in. You know, we keep talking about it. I think those extras, you know, was it for to the death could have been utilized on the outside. Use a Valiant Stand, use something that's going to help you on your structure game as opposed to a bunch of dead marches. So it is going to be very interesting to see how they adjust. That could have been a hard push pop there as well. There's so many other variations that I probably would have done, but hindsight being 2020, you know, we're out here bird's eye view over the match for sure. So
yeah, no, that's such a good point that it's really easy for us to look around the entirety of the map and make suggestions, but it's 100 times harder to be actually in the middle of it and to even be able to assess what the heck is happening beyond your own individual role. So it's easy for us to make suggestions about what might or might not actually be the way to go. So I just want to mention that because these teams have a lot of experience and they've come in with their game plan. They know what they want to do.
All right, looking at the points per minute, double in favor of 06HS, 640 to 330. So they did flip that structure game on its head. We are going to see RAIZ starting to refocus up again. I'm checking where the arc runner is still running with the CC. He's about to clear out through mid, and we're going to see he is heading to the obelisk. So it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a hold. It's just going to determine how long of a hold we're actually going to have. So we'll see if they're gonna have a third arc or not.
Yeah, this is. I mean, I think there's definitely going to be a third arc, because even if they hold the 13 minutes here, that's enough time for another arc. But will anybody able to actually like score the third arc is certainly a question.
All right, movement on the field. Looking like RAIZ is refocusing back on structures. Everything is blinking though, and that's always a good sign. Here goes 06 trying to block them. And this is what you'll see with a lot of top teams is they form this ball that is usually on the altar side that kind of blocks the reinforcing marches coming towards structures in between your obelisk zone and the altars. And they do this really, really well. And I do like seeing 06 doing the same thing. They're swarming down the sky altar and simultaneously knocking out all the troops trying to reinforce it. And there you go, flipping over to 06.
That is a lot of structures for 06, don't you think? They've really been doing very well during this particular push on the arc.
I think after losing that second arc, it's one of those, you understand the situation, look at the points per minute. It's still in favor of 06. They have taken the lead by 3,000 points. The second arc's worth 3,500. So this is only going to tie them up for RAIZ. And that's what makes this very interesting is it's kind of a how long do you realistically want to hold this arc? If they flip the structure game this hard in favor of 06, it might benefit you to maybe hold it a little bit longer and then hope for an additional arc or two. We definitely know at least one more is coming, but depending on how long you hold this, it could be up, could be two for sure.
Yeah. Is this match going to come down to who gets the last arc? Because I hope it does. That sounds like exactly the kind of match we all want to be watching, you know?
Ooh, Ethel Garrison. Let's go. All right. Arc.
Hey, Ethel. That AoE, at least it hits 5 targets.
There you go. All right, let me see. Obelisk, we're looking good. Troops coming out, attempting to retake this altar 20 seconds before it goes in favor of 06. And then they will hold 3 of the 4. Rallies coming in, but probably is going to be, it looks like it's going to be too late for it to take it down for sure. 10 seconds. But all these marches, like we were saying, look, camped right outside the cities. They're literally coming out on the RAIZ side and getting hammered by all these marches. There you go. Ticks in favor of 06. They are now holding 3 of the 4 altars, still holding 740 to 360 points per minute.
This is a big move. This is definitely a big move here, holding all these altars. It's a lot of points that they've been able to hold on to them for an unusually long amount of time, I would say. Normally, I would think by this point, the team that captured the arc would get one of those crucial buildings back or have taken one of the enemy buildings. So I think that this has worked out really well for 06. And it's going to even up the match when the arc is scored. It's very exciting.
Yeah, right now, 3 of the 4 arcs, 3 of the 4 altars, apologies. And this 4th one right here with the Jad already red, but these red marches are getting swarmed down. So she should hold up. And oh, that was looking, there you go. Flipped another altar back in favor of RAIZ. Have not occupied it or finished completing it yet. 1:40 with an XY garrison. Gotta get somebody in there, boys.
Wow. Look at this. So if the board is even at this point, and the score is going to be even when the arc is scored, and everybody's used to the death, I mean, we've got a fair fight on our hands for what happens next. It's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, and I'm excited. You know, the occupation game keeps going back and forth, which is traditionally what you're going to see in top tier matches. You're going to it's very hard to hold against other top tier teams because the buildings and structure game and all that are just rotations become very, very crucial. So you tend to see structures flip constantly in these matches, but it is very interesting, like you were noting before, to watching 06HS hold so many altars for so long, and it really ramped up this lead. Look, we're already at 3.5K advantage. Even if they capture this arc, all milled up, we'll move in. 23 minutes left in the match. It's anyone's game, and it's coming down to that last arc. So they may hold it a little bit longer, try to build up some more skills. Maybe we'll see, Heaven's Grace. I don't know. I don't even know what to expect for the final arc. This is what it's going to get down to.
Heaven's Grace, I think, is almost certainly going to get played. I mean, you know what I want to see is sneaky tactics with the 6-minute invisibility time that you proposed. That's what I want to see.
My man. I like it.
Okay, maybe 6 minutes is too long, but Chad is pointing out, I think very intelligently, that our team in blue here, RAIZ, is generating more ability points per minute right now. So that is because they have less score. The team that has less score generates more ability points. So I think they're very strategically playing that in order to have more points than the opposing team for this next fight. With that said, I mean, if they hold it for long enough, then everybody's going to have the maximum number of ability points. So that may not actually be a major factor in how this fight goes.
Yeah, I think the thing is you want to keep it close enough. You know what I mean? Right now, this points per minute, regardless of if you're adding in skill points, becomes dangerously, kind of a Hail Mary play. You know what I mean? You really don't want to back yourself that far into a corner. You want to keep it close enough to where you're still generating that. Oh, Matilda Garrison. Let's go.
Matilda Garrison. Wait. Well, I want to see this.
The Shrine of Life topside.
Uh-oh.
You really don't want to, like I was saying, you don't want to back yourself into a corner where you're having, like, it puts you in a necessity to have to win the arc, and I get the idea for skill points, but at the same token, they've held it on for so long that 06 is going to have almost as many skill points, even being in the lead. So I would see that being a benefit if they would have held it on a little bit less going in towards middle. But now with the duration they've been holding, there's going to be both of these teams. If they're not completely full, they'll be pretty close to being full.
Yeah, they're going for a 3-arc game here. And I think that's reasonable. I mean, the first fight they lost. If they won both fights, I'd feel differently. But given that it's now 1 each, right? I don't know who's going to win the last mid fight.
5 minutes left before the new arc. Focusing on structures right now. Let me see. Zenobia and Garrison always hurts. Let me see. And the altar split 2-2 points per minute, 510 to 560. So we are pretty nilled up. 06 with a little less than 4K lead in favor of them. And final arc's gonna be coming up here in a couple minutes. So buckle up, guys. We're heading over to a epic finish for this match to decide whether we're gonna be crowning a new champion or whether we're gonna be moving into game 3 next weekend to crown the champion in Bastet.
Yeah, I mean, I want a game 3. Let's go. More arc to watch, more arc to cast. This is the way. Of course, I'm sure that HS feels a little differently, right? They'd like to get their second win and knot things up.
Oh, I thought it was a Neski Garrison. Oh, an Ethel Garrison. Let's go. Sky Altar. Bottom side.
On some of these, you zoom out and back in, and they've already swapped the captain around. But I think, on the topic of that Matilda captain you saw earlier, I think the advantage of Matilda, just so that people in the chat know, is that, I don't think that was a gatherer who just happened to move their way into the structure to defend it. I think what you were seeing there is the extra troop capacity from Matilda being used in order to stuff more troops into there.
We need siege garrisons. That's what I've been voting
Oh
for.
boy. You know, it's a tactic in Canyon. The Joan Matilda really does work wonders, actually, but ooh, I don't know about that siege garrison.
All right, we see a ton of marches. I don't know why they're going backwards. You know, the arc hasn't been captured. I would just march forward. They're giving up a lot of map pressure in favor of fresh marches, which could bite them if they do capture this arc in a couple of minutes and just hold off. These marches going to be in quite an awkward situation. RAIZ focusing on their Shrine of War bottom side to hold it and garrison it. They're then pushing on the top side towards the enemy shrine. So this is going to get very, very interesting very quick.
Man. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left for the arc to be captured. That carrier, I don't think he's moved a muscle since getting there. I will point out there was a caravan that spawned in pretty close to one of the cities. I almost wonder if the caravanners, if there are dedicated ones, in the previous match we were watching, I wonder if they just leave the caravans by the city. That way, if you do get an arc, the arc carrier can be farming that caravan, you know? Because right now, the carrier's just sitting there. The march is, yeah, sure, you have instant control of where, you know, the arc can go, but they could have been farming a full caravan. I know it's not that many points, but like 75 caravan reserves is, you know, free points.
Yeah, and it, you know, in a match like this, it comes down to the smallest details. Right now, I was
Yeah, it
checking
could
out.
matter, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm. And you know, I was looking at their provisioners and how many marches they had out, and RAIZ they don't have very many. You know, with 17 minutes
Ooh.
left, it's going to come down. You know, it's a little late in the game to start sending people out, especially because you know for a fact that there's probably going to be a third arc, so you can't really invest that heavily into it. So they are going all in on the structure in the arc game. So if they lose this third arc, they may be in a world of trouble just because of the lack of provisioning. So we're going to keep our eyes on that one for sure.
This is an exciting match. This is exactly how you want to see it go down. Pretty soon, this arc has to be scored. Can you imagine if this carrier forgets to score the arc? 50 seconds till we find out.
We'll zoom in on him at 30 seconds and see what happens.
I got my eyes on him, so I'm watching, man. I'll let you know if you gotta come look.
And we're looking at structure game right now. This is what you want to see, because right now structures are flipping in favor. 3 altars for the side of 06. And there you go. Okay.
Arc scored.
I was a little nervous there, and
because like you don't want to like disconnect or like I don't know whatever, like lose internet in Arc League like with 30 seconds to score the arc. How bad would that be? Oh my god.
I actually don't know that. If you get dropped out of the match and you're holding the arc, do your marches still stay on the field, or does the arc automatically
your march would
drop?
stay on the field because you actually need to back out of the match, so you need to quit the match in order to have your city and troops depart from the map physically.
Okay.
And at that point, a new player can swap in. And that is a strategy that teams conventionally use to get awards to more players. Or if somebody completely runs dry on troops and they don't commit healing speed ups because it's the off season or whatever, then you can have that player back out and bring in a player that's fresh.
Okay. Hey.
Yeah, not that I think that healing should be a real issue at this level of play. I think people are popping their healing speeds to have the troops, you know?
Yeah, and we're looking at altars right now, 24 seconds. I think this Jedwig is going to get swarmed down, but we'll see. A couple of reinforcement marches coming in. 7 minutes before the next, and I assume will be the final arc. Yes, it will be the final arc to decide who's going to win this match. We are all tied up. 400 points is the only thing separating these two teams. 500 now. It's all going to come down to this last arc, boys.
This is awesome. We're going to have a big showdown for this final arc. 6 minutes and 30 seconds till arc spawns. Teams are getting ready for that. If we look at the board really quickly, we can see that RAIZ continues to do an incredibly good job taking out outposts and being very disruptive on the back line of 06HS. And also, RAIZ now has Shrine of War, which is going to flip back. So otherwise, the structures at this moment are fairly even, but big commitment going on downfield from 06HS to try to take some of these structures. I don't know, man. I think everybody's getting ready for this mid-fight now. And doing whatever their pre-fight rituals are. If it's saying their prayers or, like getting ready in whatever way it is for this mid-fight. Because this is it. This will determine, I think, who wins. Unless, do you think there's a big provisioning gap here? An arc worth of provisioning gap?
I don't personally. I'm
I
gonna
don't think
scope
so.
out 06 right now, but I don't think either one of these teams has invested really heavily into provisioning. So I think whoever pulls this next arc is probably going to be the one who wins this game. So, it's going to be very interesting. Their skill bars should be pretty much maxed out, and that I think plays in favor of 06. But we're going to find out if they're going to be popping another, whether it's Heaven's Grace or whatever skills they decide to use, and who's going to be the aggressor, who's going to be moving in first. 5 minutes, and once again, RAIZ is there early, backed up again. So, it's going to be very interesting. Both teams are doing it, actually. Nobody is actually posturing forward. Very, very interesting. They're both there.
RAIZ
5
getting
minutes
there
early.
It did cost them their Sky Altar. So, pros and cons of those choices. And it does even look like 06HS is mostly forfeiting the Sky Altar, weirdly enough. They're running their marches up to zero them on cities. So they are urgently trying to get to this mid-fight, is what I'm trying to say.
And RAIZ, seeing them come from both sides right now. Look at these rallies coming in. A Guan rally. Interesting. Coming in from both sides. It's same thing with 06. Everybody's geared up and ready for a battle to decide who's going to win this match. And you see a RAIZ out here swarming down the Zenobia. It's not going to look good for the top side Shrine of War. It is very interesting to note that the switch on emphasis from the Shrine of Wars in regards to when we're rotating in towards the middle, it isn't really that big of a thing for this match, indeed. So, little things here and there. I would like to see a couple of more provision marches just to kind of cushion it, just in case you lose this arc. But we're going all out. It's the finals in the Baztet realm. Winner of this arc is going to be deciding who wins this match for sure.
Wow. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And the arc will spawn. Teams are like, I don't understand why these teams are so far away from each other, by the way. There's no range combat in game yet. So yeah, RAIZ is just moving up for free. 100% free. Why not?
Oh man, let's see. 06. Oh my goodness, bringing them all in. Everybody's being called in. All the reserves are getting called in. Don't be deceived. There are a ton of troops in here. You just can't see them because they're all so tightly packed. But this brawl is going to be huge, and it's going to definitely be the deciding factor. I'm keeping my eyes on the structures because I want to see if we're going to see any just flip at the last second. We are looking at a Herald rally on a Zenobia. On a 1v1, this actually usually does really, really well in Arc. So you definitely can't afford to lose structures. Here comes a reinforcement march for this Herald as well. So
wow,
you definitely can't
That's
afford
an
to
early
lose.
mystical formation, by the way.
And look how far they are. Oof.
I mean, I get that it lasts for 3 minutes, but also I guess maybe they were capping on points and they wanted to just free. I don't know, but then why cast both? It just feels early, but maybe they just don't want to think about it anymore. Buffs are up, so they're moving in.
And there goes RAIZ going the opposite direction just to waste all their skill points. I
really like that play.
Probably
I really like that play.
Probably in like 20 seconds, they'll turn around. They're going to reapproach them. Yeah, see, even 06 understands. At this point, they're waiting to suck them in. they'll reapproach and then pop all their fresh skills.
I really don't understand why they put those buffs on so early. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Got a minute and a half. Minute and a half.
RAIZ did a good job of kind of waiting out that buff, but also the thing that I think I would encourage them to do is their ball was so spread out for no value whatsoever. There's the Heaven's Grace. Both sides. Big heal numbers. Yeah, as I was saying, like, you kind of could see HS was moving in from, like, 30 seconds away.
Mhm.
So I feel like they ought to have tightened up a little bit rather than being so spread out so that you could hit all at once the combat actually starts, you know?
So many green numbers. And I do like this as opposed to what we saw in the other where they pop to the death really, really late in our 0-1 or our 1v versus JST match. They popped it super late on a bunch of dead marches. They popped this one super early when the fighting was starting for Heaven's Grace. So
yeah, that was good timing. That was really good.
And the sad face is coming out from RAIZ. Both sides. Look at them.
Both
dumping.
sides, bro.
Whoa.
This is it. This fight
it.
determines it. And I'll expand on that observation that I really like the Heaven's Grace early timing, because the way that Heaven's Grace works is that it heals you based on a healing factor, and healing factor scales up with the number of troops you have. So if you pop it too late, you actually lose the benefit pretty substantially. So I like the early pop decision here. Swift Stride. That is unusual.
We do see him grabbing over here on the backside, and 06 pulls it, and they're running. They're running. Oh, he's getting clobbered over here, so he should go down here in a second. There you go. And the amount of blue marches still up is very, very impressive. I still see
both sides getting
blue.
sad-faced here. I don't know. Who's got this? Hard to say.
If you're 06,
this is
you really need
arc.
to grab it.
I think it could be RAIZ, actually, but it's really hard to say.
There it is.
There's the arc grab. Oh, that thing's moving. That thing is moving.
That CC primary. Dangerous.
That arc is... Okay, down. Arc is down. But I don't know that it's going to matter. I think RAIZ... you know what? This is one of those unusual arc fights where you actually need to send back to mid.
Ooh, Swift Stride getting
used
popped.
Swift Stride. Wow. Oh my gosh, this is like blow for blow. One side gets an advantage, then the other side gets an advantage. Unbelievable.
Now, I am loving what I'm seeing, because right here, you're seeing what I like to regard as a stall tactic, where even if your march is going to die, you try to pick up the arc, because in an effort, once you pick it up and it goes down and your march dies, it's a 10-second counter to re-pick it back up, which then gives your marches opportunity to give it a little bit more time in order for reinforcements to come in, which if you are sending, it becomes a very powerful tool. If 06 can pick this up again, they're going to be in good time.
Yeah. This is an unusual situation where sending to middle after your marches die, pardon me, is correct, because this is a drawn out fight now. And it looks like RAIZ did not do as good a job coming back to middle quickly. They took an altar instead, but I think they needed to send everything to mid still. That mid fight was literally about as even as you could get. And then the reinforcements back to mid from 06HS is what defines their victory here. And I'm using the word victory because now it's very hard for RAIZ to get to this arc in time.
Yeah,
wow.
even with Swift Stride getting popped, the reinforcements just aren't getting here quick enough. They really need somebody to drop this arc carrier, but for how deep this arc carrier got, the reinforcements for 06 are just going to get there so fast.
It's it's only getting worse. That's the sort of situation where an arc grab like they had is absolutely pivotal. Like in a match that is even in the middle, which is unusual, by the way. To have the arc carrier run it even just a little bit of this distance is god tier levels of advantage. And now 06HS gets to really enjoy that advantage.
Yeah, where the arc fell is a very awkward spot, because if you'll watch, if you're vectoring in, this one little, I call it a choke point, will occur right here. And if it gets stuck right there, man, it is one of the hardest spots to get stuff out of, especially the arc. when it gets jammed in there. We are seeing some. Here comes, yeah, the swarm on Zenobia. I don't know if it's gonna be enough.
I don't
in
like that
time.
choice. I think they should have gone for the carrier, honestly. They need to stall to get so that the rest of the team can get there. Look how many blue marches will get there if only they would just stall this carrier.
Yeah,
I think giving all this free walk time to the carrier is really risky.
Yeah, and if they can drop this arc carrier, all those marches running on the top side will reach it.
Yeah,
I want to see this. I want to see people.
Yeah, I think that was a big error to go for the Xeno instead of going for the arc. I feel like that was a really big error.
And now you have everybody, all these blue marches running through the meat grinder just because this march isn't dead.
Yeah, it could have been just the 3 marches that sacrificed themselves to get that free time. And now it's going to be every blue march here has to sacrifice to try to get there because 06HS has repositioned now. I don't know. This is, if you're 06HS, this is a little stressful, but exactly the position you want to be in.
Is this Ethel going to make it?
Nope.
She didn't. Oh, no. It dropped
right
at the
doorstep. But the fact that they even got to the doorstep with 3 minutes left, it's going to be hard to stop this from being scored. The only way is if you're faster to pick it up. And now that thing is scored. There it is.
And now let it be noted, at that point, before the arc was scored, RAIZ had actually taken a 1K lead. So that arc being worth 4,000 made it so that we're only at a 3,000 point lead, which if you're provisioning, guess what? That is very easily fixed. But we are now getting into the window where neutralizing structures is going to be crucial. RAIZ, I'm looking at the points per minute, 590 to 440, but they do hold 3 of the 4 altars with the remaining 2 minutes left. We're going to keep our eyes on provision marches coming in. This altar, if they can take this altar, it's going to be huge.
You know, honestly, with 2 minutes remaining, if RAIZ, to your point, provisioned, this leaderboard could flip.
Yep.
100% this could flip.
And here we go. The trick is you got to really time it depending on your marches. And this is where research, testing, all that kind of stuff to understand.
Oh my God.
This march isn't going to make it back. There's no way with a minute 45. He'll get like 2 points and then have to run back. But you got to be able to time it properly to call in those marches.
Why is Double C captain of the Desert Altar? Now it's Nevsky? Oh, come on. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. They have all the altars. They have the Shrine of War. And they've got a Nevsky as captain. Well, at least he gains 30% health when you're swarming him. Okay, Jad's captain. I feel safer. Woo! Hey, this is anybody's game still. Honestly, it is. I mean, all 4 altars in the hands of blue, and the point differential is 300 per minute. So there's not enough minutes left for this to do what it could have done.
And they did pop Swiss Stride earlier, so I don't know if they're going to be able to pop it again to get all these provisioners in. And with 50 seconds, all of these guys should be coming home.
They took the obelisk?
Here it comes.
590 points per minute to 110 per minute. If only there were more minutes left for RAIZ.
And here, this is where it gets decided. I'm seeing all the marches.
Those provisioners from 06HS just bumped up that score a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well.
I noticed that right when he said it, and I was like, oh.
That is a huge jump, boys. Where are the provisioners for RAIZ?
They were on top side coming in, but I think those are, like I said, too little, too late. You know, we're sending them out in the last 3 minutes. Wow. You're not gonna be able to rack in, and it looks as if, and there we go. 06HS have officially become the 3rd champion in season 5 of the Osiris League. So GGs to both of these teams. That provision game was intense. Look at that.
It really was. I think for me, the most critical moment was for the mid-fight when it was even. And RAIZ didn't refresh to middle as fast as 06HS. They were able to get that last arc out of there. And once it was in the backfield for 06HS, then it was just a matter of the logistics to score it. And I think the best that RAIZ could have done realistically would have been stalling at that point, which might have been achievable. But even if they had, if you subtract 4,000 points or 4,500, 06HS still would have won.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the scoreboard right now, and we're seeing this for the second time today. Just is a team dominating, well, not dominating, but winning in all three phases of the game. And Ark of Osiris, they won
True.
on the side of 06. Occupation, they narrowly hammered out RAIZ on that one by 400 points. But in provisions, almost doubling them up in provision as well. And that is one of the hardest things to do, especially in top tier Ark of Osiris matches, is usually you're only going to win 2 of the 3, and you attempt to keep the second one close. That way you can pull it out in the very end. But
Wow.
we thought it was going to be super close, and those provisions came in, and it just shocked the world. But both of these teams did a phenomenal job. It was by far the closest, and it was way closer than what the score shows. I'm going to flip over to the 2cam real quick, guys, so we can wrap it up. And congratulations to 06HS. And we are back, wrapping up the final cast for this week's Osiris League finals. We have our third champion. I'm actually going to quit out real quick. Give me 1 second. I wanted to see, and I forgot to check if we have crowned the 4th champion. We need to see real quick. And it looks as if, let me see, 01, 60 GT. Yeah, we crowned all 4 champions this week.
Wow.
So let me go see how the Sobek realm looked real quick before we wrap up. Playoffs. How did the match end up? 31-43. So they took care of business out there in the Sobek realm. Congratulations to 61HX. We have crowned all 4 champions. We'll zoom back. Let's start off with Horus, and then we will wrap it up, boys. So congratulations goes out to 1V, becoming our Horus realm champions this season. We have 60GT and Anubis realm being crowned champions. 06HS, the cast that y'all just finished watching with us, as well as 61HX. So congratulations to all of our champions in season 5. I'm excited for this invitational. It should be an absolute blast. Just real quick before we end off, what match are you most excited for to see in the invitational? Just
Oh man, I mean, I want to see wherever 1v goes, and if they can be dethroned, because man, they are quite strong.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be impressive. I'm actually excited to see how some of these younger teams face off against some of our older teams, because a couple of these teams, it's their first Osiris League. They're champions. They're coming in. They're going to be playing against some veterans. You pick up a lot of things. So watch some tape. I know this, covering a lot of them, is the seriousness of some of the younger teams now. Like I remember when we first in season 1, we were just playing to have fun, and now the younger teams are watching VODs, watching scouting, doing stuff, and it's always fun to see the intensity increase. And the invitational, I think, is just going to heighten that as well. But any last thoughts before we head out, Chis?
No, I thought this was an amazing game to watch. It's exactly what you want to see. It comes down to the wire. The last arc scored in the last minutes. I think both teams played incredibly well. And congratulations to them both for making it as far as they did. I think we're all a little jealous of the training speed city team that they all have here. So, GG, well played.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I appreciate all the love and support, guys. Make sure you leave a like on the stream if you enjoyed it. Both of our links for our channels are down there. I'm pretty sure most of y'all already know who Chisco Gaming is. But if you don't, both of our links are down below. Definitely go consider subscribing for a ton of Rise of Kingdoms content. Thank you again for joining us, and we will see y'all when the invitational arrives. So y'all have a great rest of your day, rockers. I am Bobo. Y'all have a good one. Bye.